Welcome, everybody, to Data Talk Podcast, episode number 4. Now, for those that may have listened to the previous episode, we had our guest speaker, Trevor, it was a great opportunity for us on the podcast to have a guest share their experience as they were about to enter fatherhood. And really hope everything is going well for Trevor and his partner and their soon to be little one. So look, I think there was a lot of topics discussed in that episode and some really good insights, but one that continuously keeps coming up on the podcast, but then also just through conversation with some of our friends and even just online, just spending some time on YouTube and so forth. And it's just quite interesting to see the dynamics that comes about when you have a hot topic like trying for a baby. So in this session, we will cover what that was like from my perspective, from my own personal experience. And I guess I do want to preface this episode that this is purely my experience. And I am 100% well aware that others out there may have a similar experience and have gone through similar emotional ups and downs, but I'm very, very well aware that there's others that have had it a lot more difficult than what we experienced when we were trying for our first child. And I guess, look, it's by no means to say that ours was hard and so difficult, because that's not what this is about. What it's about is really talking about it, sharing the experiences, and keeping aside that whole, I guess, judgmental side of things around, yours was much easier than ours, or any of those kind of, I guess, associations. It's really not here to sort of take that component from it. It's really just to share, because like I said, it is a hot topic, and it's something that continuously comes up on some of my feeds when I'm scrolling through YouTube or something. And I think everyone has their own journey. For us, this was what it was like for us, and I'm just here to share that. All right, so I guess where I could start this is, at the end of the day, there are a few different stages, and that's how I've tried to start this podcast up, is to really sort of go through that evolution of having those initial discussions, conversations, to now really being at that trying stage. And it's definitely not something that I envisioned. I thought, I guess, it would be something that would need to do a bit of research, have a look at, sort of, is it cycles that we need to follow? What are some of the signs that we need to keep an eye on? Just try and see what happens. Now, I guess at a very high level, or a very sort of simple perspective, that's about it, right? But that isn't the case, and it doesn't end there. It is something that goes far deeper than that, and it really starts to get to that stage when the emotions start to come through, and that's emotions both from my side, from the male in the relationship, as well as from the female, from my partner. And I think when you combine that, amongst the desire to want to have a family, it just compounds, and it really starts to just get quite heavy at times. So, for us, we really sort of started to experience a little bit of this come, that first month when my partner basically, just sort of said, look, I was a little bit late, but had my periods come through, and doesn't seem like it's worked. And you sort of just scratch your head, and well, at least I did, and it's like, oh, okay, geez, what do we need to do differently? Like, do we just, and I guess that's sort of, doing the same thing every single time, expecting something different to happen, sort of analogy come to mind. But in our state, it really just was a little bit of that, obviously a little bit of prayer, hope, positiveness. And I guess what I wanted to really try and influence in that whole, I guess, cocktail of emotions is to remain positive. It is a miracle at the end of the day. In my perspective, that is my opinion. It is a miracle that something like this can happen. And like I said, it's possible for some, it's not possible for others. And I think this is why I really wanted to sit down and take a bit of time to put this together, because it's, there's so many elements to it other than the physical side of things. And, we'll touch on that a little bit in a sec as well. But really just that mindset, that mentality of how are you going to get into month number 2, month number 3. And for us, it was testing every single month that we kept going through it. And I'm sure that no male out there, or no other partner, should I say, enjoys seeing their other half upset, crying, and just being down or questioning themselves even. It's heartbreaking. It really is. And I think that's where it's a teamwork. We really needed to just sort of get together and hold each other through this process, all whilst trying to remain positive. And that's a lot easier said than done. And even as I'm, I guess, trying to reminisce to some of those moments, just holding your partner while they're really upset, or while they're, I guess, expressing their emotions. What do you say? Like, it's hard. Sometimes there's just moments where there's no words that can be said other than just holding each other, hugging each other, and just being there for each other. And I feel, really deep down, it's those pieces to the puzzle that really help complement everything else that everyone tries to do, and then that we tried to do, sticking to sort of a kind of like almost a routine, and even being times where it's like being reminded, oh, don't forget, we need to try again tonight, and it's like, oh, yep, no worries, yep. And that physical side of things, that starts to sort of get challenging as well, where it's that real sort of love, desire, and sort of whatever those, I guess, intimate moments are like, start to change. And I've even heard people describe it almost feels like it's a job, it's a second job, where you have to sort of just show up and get the job done. So it's definitely challenging on all fronts. And just seeing those results and going through that area, for example, in the morning, just checking to see, period hasn't come this month, and checking pregnancy, sort of tests a couple of times in the morning or a couple of days in a row, with just negative, negative, negative. For us, yeah, it took a little while, took a couple of months, and I think this piece of it is the one that's quite, I guess, challenging in that we thankfully were able to, I guess, my wife fall pregnant, and I definitely do recall that moment. And I think I touched on it in one of the episodes earlier, just, being woken up in the morning and being told to come check. It's hard to describe that feeling for me, that I felt, because there was part of me of like this joy that I'd never felt before. This sense of happiness, this sense of completeness was starting to come through. And on the other hand, just almost like, I'd hate to say that it's relief, but it almost just felt like this weight I felt like was lifted off my wife's shoulders, and an opportunity for her maybe to just feel like she could breathe again, because after trying so many times, and doing anything and everything that was possible, and again, even going back to simplest things of just watching her diet or taking some vitamins, and I know she was taking some tablets herself as well, and it almost was like, yes, that finishing line, that moment, it's actually starting to come through and feel real. And that result, that test, when we saw it as positive, absolutely was this overjoyedness of tears of happiness, and even moments of just pinching ourselves going, is this real? And look, I really do hope there are some listeners out there that can, I guess, maybe relate to this in some way. But I also, again, am really, really cognizant of the fact that there are others that may be listening to this and, have been trying for a couple of years, or even gone down other routes like IVF and so forth. And, I really do, also want to acknowledge that, even though for us personally, for myself, was finding it difficult at times, through that journey, and that roller coaster of getting excited but then getting sort of upset, let down, having to pick yourself back up, is different for all people, and experience it in a very different way. So I guess all I would absolutely encourage those that are listening to this episode is to communicate, to express those feelings, to share, to open up. And I guess when you're getting at that stage of trying for a baby, well, you're both as vulnerable as each other, and you're really exposing yourselves there to have each other 100% of the time through that whole process. And it definitely isn't easy, and wish those maybe that are listening and that are still trying all the absolute very best, and to really try and remain as positive as possible. I guess the two things that I always thought of is, one, like I said, is it's a miracle, and it's it's amazing how the body works, and the whole, I guess, sort of that element of things. And you could go down a complete huge rabbit hole on that side of things, but the other side of it is also the mental state and staying positive. And I feel like those kinds of energies, in a positive light, really help, as much as possible through those real dark times where it can be really, really challenging and sad and upsetting for both parties, for both involved. So it's, again, like I said, it's wasn't easy, and then I think what was quite helpful is the family support as well, that's around you. I know that my wife had some some really good opportunity to have a close group of friends around her to support her. They were, very much in that journey around about the same time, if not. Some had already fallen just pregnant and had waited that, sort of safe zone to start telling people and so forth. And, look, I definitely think that network of support around you is also very key to the process. But look, I think as I cap it off, for us, absolutely a whirlwind of emotions, a lot of excitement at the start, but then also a lot of, sad moments and sad times, especially when it come around to sort of that 30, 32, 33 day mark, and she'd have her period, and it'd take a couple of days for us to lift ourselves back up. But, as a team, we absolutely did that, and supported each other all the way through, and thankfully there was a light at the end of that tunnel for us in our experience, and it will be one of the moments where I'll remember that for the rest of my life, seeing that result come through as positive the first time, and then the second time again positive, and the third time positive, and I'm sure others could probably attest to that, is that their partners have had maybe didn't think the first time was real, and so they'd go and do another test until you go to the doctors and get a blood test, and it's like, yeah, that's it, signed, sealed, delivered, it's positive, and then on to episode 5, which will be really around that those first initial weeks of when you have found that you're pregnant. What's that like, and that whole journey. So please, I do hope that you all can take something away from this episode, but nonetheless also really reach out to those that that are trying to just, check in on everyone and make sure that your loved ones, your close ones, are okay and not alone. This is something that everyone, goes through, and it's part and parcel with those that are wanting to have a family. So I will leave it at that. Like I said, episode 5, I would love to really take this to the next step and talk about those first couple of weeks, as well as just in the process of trying to finalize another guest speaker, and in this one we'll be looking at someone that's probably done this a couple of times, you can say. So have had the opportunity to have a few kids themselves and build a family of their own, and just curious to bring some of that to the channel and hear their perspective on how that will that whole journey has really unfolded for them, and hopefully again others can take something away from that. So really do appreciate everyone for listening. The feedback, the comments, it's definitely something that I take absolutely seriously, and actually have quite a lot of fun putting this stuff together. It's a good opportunity that we have right now to share some of this content with you all. So thank you, and I hope you all take care. Look after yourselves. This episode should be coming out just before Christmas, so to those listening, Merry Christmas, and I hope everyone has a fantastic 2024. So Happy New Year to you all as well. Thank you.